So, A Thousand Times Resist. We have chapter 1 that I sort of talked about dealing with the past, going back to it, and how that both connects to both the situation with Watcher learning about the past, us learning about the situation that led to Iris's death, and Iris somewhat maybe going back to learn about what learning, having sort of a thing, and sort of looking back on, I'm forgetting the word, her situation with Zhao. Chapter 2 sort of looks into the idea of the sort of family, both with Bang Bang Fire and with Iris's family. What is chapter 3? Now, throughout chapters 1 and chapters 2, we are learning a couple of situations about Iris. Some situations that doesn't make her seem as 100% a good person as you would claim. At the beginning, it's like, oh, she's a good person. Like, you always should like try and see the best in people, right? I maybe don't. I'm a bit paranoid. But one of the things which is interesting is through that you're sort of learning this darkness, which is fun and I like. And I definitely think through this you learn a little bit more, because you learn about the start of creation and more specifically the ancient sin. Now you know about the ancient sin a bit. Now here's why. Because what I'm saying is that the past is reflecting the present. That's the whole thing. I don't know if I didn't say in chapter 1 or 2, because the past is weirdly reflecting the present. Chapter 1, learning about the past as Iris is school, and Iris goes back to school as we go back to the beginning of where this mystery starts, and Watcher goes back to the past to learn about how going back in his memory system works. 2, Iris with the family, Watcher with her family. Parallels. Chapter 3 has something interesting. As we're slowly learning this information, we're learning this dark information. And I'm going to say something that's important in chapter 4, technically. But I'm not going to say it now. I think it's chapter 4 or chapter 5. Besides the point. The next chapter, which is simply, which I think is the only one that, anyway, not the point of this. You have chapter 3 sort of dealing with them coming together and learning more information. So you deal with Healer. And Healer is one of my favorite characters. Specifically, you kind of can sort of like, if you hear how they say, sort of, you can kind of, not being like they're 20 years apart, but you kind of can be like, oh, this person's older than this person. And I like the one thing that like Watchers do this whole thing, be like, and then at some point you talk to Healer, and it's like, just give me a sec. Oh, I can't do this anymore at my age. The idea of being like, so become more older than everyone else at it. You can kind of tell there is some sort of an order, because I don't know the full order, it's very confusing. But the one thing which I find is interesting is that throughout this chapter is all we've been learning a lot of dark things. And the whole point is questioning if you should about the knowledge we know. It also, a little bit of spoilers for later, past chapter 7? Yeah, 7. No, wait, no, 8. I know what I'm talking about, because I did 9 and the last one was 8. So past chapter 8, because the one I did where it's like da. That's 6. 7. Yes, chapter 7, because the one where you go to the past and blah, 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 blah. That's 8. Past chapter 7. So 3, 2, 1. Part of this situation is fake. More specifically, there was a choice where, and I even commented how effed up it is, when I originally watched it, that she let these 4 people die. When in reality, they left with Iris. Because of how old they are, is there a possibility that they died somewhere else? Maybe. Could be. But they didn't die in the station, so the memory is false. It still has a chance they're dead, but not important. Because all of this in this chapter is learning about how information and learning certain information isn't always good. And some information is dark, and going forward with it couldn't always be good for you. Both with youngest learning about how to create new clones, putting herself in this interesting situation, and us debating and questioning the situation. Also, the choice I mentioned, one of the choices is you can say, by the way, Gila stopped at a certain point and didn't want to see the rest of it, which is a fact. She did. At a certain point, she just drops off. Like, she exists for some of the earlier bits, and then she disappears. And then when she came back, it's like, why weren't you there? Yeah, I could have. I just chose not to. Which is fair, but in the system, that was not what you're supposed to do. You could say what happened. You could tell Principal what happened in that situation. I chose not to. It wasn't important. It didn't seem like a big deal. And overall, it was that comment. Make a choice. And that your choice was the bad one. Technically speaking, it wasn't a choice because Victor is still alive, and I don't think you can not tell Principal because that's the core part of the gameplay. The other one you can, because there is a thing of like she still gets trouble later on through despite what we do, and the other one is the bunny, da, da, da. Because what happens is if you tell her at this point something might have happened, a little cutscene. I don't 100% know. I didn't, so I didn't see that anyway. But the idea of choosing and knowledge and what you do with it is interesting. So yeah. Chapter 4 is going to be tomorrow. But yeah, I hope you enjoy and good night.